How do you see this economic cycle for the foreigner investors? How they feel it with the cycle economic in Mexico?
The consumer that's American coming to Los Cabos, it's really important to know that they're not the normal American mindset. They tend to be more adventurous. They tend to be more disenchanted with the U.S. government and willing to go outside of the U.S. borders, right?
Okay.
So that's important to note, because what I'm going to say is that those clients, that audience, which is our customer base, is very bullish on Los Cabos. A lot of our customers, our clients, are selling everything they have and coming down here.
Welcome to the Nick Fong Podcast. As the broker and owner of Ronival Real Estate, Nick has spent nearly 20 years in Baja California, sir. And in this podcast, he'll be talking everything Baja, from food and culture to real estate and property management. And now, here's your host, Nick Fong.
All right, welcome back to the podcast. We got Ricardo Reyes. Thank you for joining us. And I think this will be the first time on the podcast someone's going to ask me questions. So, Ricardo, why don't you tell everyone where you are from and what you do here in Los Cabos?
Thank you, Nick. It's a pleasure. So I'm a Mexican citizen. I'm from Mexico City. I have 16 years in Los Cabos. So I'm an entrepreneur of construction. All my life is in construction. I'm civil engineer, industrial engineer, and architect. So I like too much the academic issue, Yeah. So right now I'm in Los Cabos. I'm a developer of condominiums, construction, custom construction, and helping to the government with issues of urban development. Okay. So thank you.
No, and the magazines we have here, this beautiful magazine, Land and Building, we met over a month ago talking about the magazine, and you've built this magazine. When did you start the first edition of this magazine?
This is a beautiful question. So when I start my life in the professional way of academic, I know that the most of the Mexican professionals are nice, are good. You can find it in NASA, you can find it in USA, in Harvard, in a lot of spaces. But the academic topic is not too much important for the federal government. Not all the Mexicans has the fair opportunities to do that. So what I want to do with this project that you asked me in the beginning of the pandemic. Okay. So we are almost to have 3 years from the first
edition.
The first edition. So when I have time to be in my desk, writing and reading and exploring, this project I have it in my suitcase of projects, So, but the stars needs to be aligned for doing an editorial project because it's so complicated. An editorial project is so complicated for the collaborators.
Yeah.
Because you need to trust when you draw, So I start to invite a lot of professionals of the Los Cabos. I mean, College of Architects, engineers, pretty famous architects like Jacinto that you have on another podcast with him. That is people that saw how Cabo grows from 35 years ago to now, So the institutions in Cabo is pretty important. It's pretty important because we have lawyers, notarios, engineers, architects, government, and people like you that sell, So we start to invite the people, and the people have time. Yeah. The time is the most precious issue, So we start in digital, and right now we are selling in all Mexico,
Okay. All of Mexico. So this is distributed throughout Mexico.
Yeah, this is distributed in Sambors. I don't know if you know, is the most biggest store for books and magazines in Mexico. So we are in all the stores. Yeah. So we are in the airports and we are in the main corridors of Mexico, So yes, we are in all Mexico right now.
And how's the project going? Now that it's almost 3 years, I mean, it's a big project, to get all of these people under one magazine. And it's not like it's paid. I mean, these are people that are volunteering their time, their expertise.
If you ask me how's going the project is beautiful. Because the project starts like sharing the knowledge, Right. You start with us, and the most beautiful part is sharing what you know with another people that is professional in these topics, So the project like that, I'm falling in love. More than that, if you see the quality is growing, it's evolutioning, the quality. In terms of financial, it's not a good business, It's more than sharing. But yeah. You can saw right now on a producto that the most important part is that edit 100% in Mexico. The collaborator is 100% from Mexico. The photos and the production is 100% with the people of Mexico, So for me, this is pretty important because one of the biggest part is to share what we can do here locally, in Cabo. Right. So you can find it a lot of pretty important topics. Yeah. If your readers wants to understand the truth of the things that happen in terms of the development, construction, legal, is the way.
And it's bilingual.
Yeah. So yeah. Sorry for the translate because we do like in a Mexican, so for sure you can read it some errors in that. But we are evolved, we are doing.
But this one with the Oscar Legs, the mayor of Los Cabos, I mean, it has really important people in our community.
Yeah. I mean, when you say important people, I assume that most important is the people that create the things happen, or do the things happen. I mean, in terms of government or invest, or like you, that are a pretty important guy in terms of the real estate, Right. So in all the magazines, we have a topic that is icon. The people that is an icon, For example, the next magazine that you will see from Baja California Sur, you will see to my friend Juan Fernandez Sanchez Navarro, the owner of Solas, and the topic is going to Solas, because this is the new era of the new hotels, the new Mexican dream. So we have Neto Coppel. So we have this kind of people that really impact in our municipio,
Yeah. It's not just about the magazine. I wanted you on here to talk also about our community. What kind of projects, things like sustainability, market trends, construction, not just economic responsibility, but also social responsibility. So I wanted you to kind of ask questions or kind of throw out topics.
This is pretty important, and thank you for asking, because not most of the time the community, in this case the community that you represent, I mean in terms of the real estate of foreigners that comes to Cabo and buy and invest in a property, and in a second home, that for us is pretty important. I mean, for us like a Mexican citizen or like a government, it's pretty important. Why? Because the secure that your clients come and invest in our municipio is pretty important, And another way that you are totally right is how we can do for the municipio grow in terms of economic. It's perfect. If you see the second homes, it's perfect because we have work for everybody. If you see right now, Cabo, it's paying too much in terms of salary, it's paying too much in return of invest, it's paying too much of commission. It's good.
Yeah.
But how our people is living? We have a pretty serious topics, I think, in terms of water, of mobility, of security and transport, So when you say the word community, I think that we need to involve more, not just in the economic or the macroeconomic topics. We need to involve more in terms of the community, and the community needs to know where my employees live, how they live, and how I can help. For example, I saw too much of the pretty good ideas like the Los Cabos Children Foundation, that is for children, that it is pretty nice. I help too much with that. But I think that we need to apport or give more. Yeah. For example, you're a pretty success real estate man. So I follow you and you're a great person because you can see in your team, Yeah. But how you can share with the local real estate agents, the small ones.
Right.
No?
Yep.
So it's the same for me.
Yep.
How I can help? In this way. So I think that this is important from the community.
Yeah, no. And you talked about things like water. So can we go down that topic of water and talk about
sure.
like what is going on? A lot of our clients and soon to be new homeowners are very concerned about the water topic. That there's more and more of the pipas or water trucks filling people's water cisterns because the municipal water supply is not enough.
Okay, so I will introduce a little bit in the government topics.
Yeah.
Okay, because one of the things that my friend that is the mayor, Oscar Lex, are doing pretty well, and his first step was take the topic of the water and handle. Because in the most of the governments, remember that the local governments just have 3 years of duration. It's so few.
Not enough.
It's not enough. It's not enough because when you start an executive project for something, for whatever, you need at least years for give the following, you know. But Oscar do pretty well. First of all, make the management for closing and landing the proyecto of desaladora.
Desalination?
Desalination, yeah. This is a government proyecto that started more than 6 years ago and never started the construction. So he made more than 40 trips to Mexico City with the senators, with the president, with everybody. So right now we have the money, and in the next month start the construction of the new desalination, you know. This is a pretty important and a pretty huge step for Los Cabos, specific for Cabo San Lucas. Remember that Cabo San Lucas is the area that suffer more the falta de agua.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah, the water shortage.
Exactly.
Why is that? It's for those that don't know.
It's pretty important. If you know our municipio, if you really know our municipio, we are on the Lancen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Cabo San Lucas. But the cuenca of the flows of the water in Cabo del Este, where is Zacatito, Shipwrecks, La Ribera, this is a cuenca that we have a lot of water. So for obvious reasons, San Jose del Cabo has more water.
Right.
So Cabo San Lucas has less water.
Right.
So first of all, we need to fix the topics of the water with Cabo San Lucas, and it's not just the fresh water, because after you use, we need to treatment the water.
Yep.
Okay, so it's together. But this is the first pretty good notice, the desalination plant. But it's huge, you know, and it's a government invest.
Yep.
This is nice. And another thing that Oscar do is found 2 new wells of water. So, I mean, this means exploration, tubing, piping, and
digging into the ground
Exactly.
and finding the water.
For find the water. So this is the important things that the local government is doing, because the most of the time we want to saw the results immediately. It is impossible. Why? Because this guy, Oscar, is on a new party.
Yeah, the political parties.
Yeah, the political parties is the first time that they have the first opportunity to give results. And the things in topics of water, they will fix it at least the 20% more water than when he started the administration, you know?
Yep.
This is a pretty good topics. The another one is that we need to be very, ¿cómo se dice en inglés? Responsables?
Yeah, responsible.
Because we are in the desert, you know?
Yeah.
So we are in the desert. We need to know that we don't have water. So we can dig in, we can try to find it, but the best way to have water is save the water, you know?
Be responsible usage, right?
Exactly.
When you brush your teeth, turn off the water while you're brushing
Exactly.
your teeth.
No, I mean in terms of jacuzzis, for example, you know?
Yeah.
We talk about before of the podcast of the issues of golf courses, you know?
Right.
Because most of the golf courses use treatment water, you know?
Sure.
It's okay, but maybe that water, they can share it from the people. So this is expression that we need to find it. Right. But this is the way of the water.
Okay. What about the roads? Can we talk about the roads? I mean, that's another infrastructure type thing with the growth. I mean, that is a topic that a lot of our clients are talking about. Don't want to go too deep into those kind of issues. I do want to talk about, that's a hot topic with our clients, the water, safety, I've lived here for almost 20 years, and I've always felt very safe here. How do you feel being a Mexican living in Los Cabos from Mexico City, right? And that's a biggest city in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
So the first thing that I want to talk with you and with your readers or spectators is they can be sure that Los Cabos, the peninsula, all Baja California is pretty sure for the geographic situation of Mexico. Yeah. So this is a natural barrier of security, you know. It's not too much and a good deal for the bad guys to be in an island, you know, for obvious reasons. Second one is that we segregate.
Yeah, we separate
of the another part of the Mexico, and this is pretty important. So the security in terms of Los Cabos, it is. You can saw that we have marina because we are rounded of water. So the security in Los Cabos is responsibility of the marina. So this is pretty good. And in another way is that we have a really biggest entrepreneurs, owners, that take care a lot of the security in Los Cabos, you know. Yeah. For that reason, you saw that the invest of the Marina Cuarteles, it's big ones, you know. So this is pretty important. And the second one that you asked me about the mobility and the roads, okay. So the first one that you need to understand and your clients need to understand that we are in a city in constantly growing. Yeah. Just on a number for you can understand how we growing. So we have more than 6 years before that we are growing in an average of 10% of growing of the city. 10% yearly. It is huge for your owners, of your buyers, of your clients, for your understand Monterrey or Guadalajara. They're the biggest new cities in Mexico because Mexico City is too old. Yeah. But Monterrey and Guadalajara is growing too much, you know, but they grow just at 3% annual. So you can imagine that. So in terms of this, it's a great opportunity to invest. Why? Because you can tell me, hey, we don't have roads, we don't have enough water, we don't have enough infrastructure, you know. Yeah, it is. For that reason, it's an opportunity. Because when you come and you find everything, for sure, the property will be valued 3 times over, you know? Sure. So I think that it's a great opportunity to create the opportunities for everybody. I mean, in terms of invest, hotels, homes, because the price of the land, if you told me, is cheap. Because you have a lot of kilometers of ocean. This is pretty important. Right. Because this don't happen, for example, with Cancun or with Rivera Nayarit, because they have just one front, you know. We have a bunch of different areas for different developments. But in terms of mobility, I told you, what we are doing right now in the government is to create the executive projects to have the portfolio of projects. Because before of that, we don't have it. So if you arrive to a government or a company, like our companies, we have plans, we have proyectos for the next years. We know that we need to buy a different office, we need to invest in a different infrastructure for our growing, you know. In the local governments in Mexico, don't happen. So what we are doing right now, helping to the mayor, is doing that portfolio of projects, of executive projects.
That's interesting. Even though we're still a small city, start planning and thinking in a big way, right? The portfolio, right? So you can start planning and projecting. Exactly.
So the issue that is totally different from example for Acapulco, for Cancun, for these biggest cities in Mexico that is tourism important from the foreigners, Los Cabos is totally different for the community again. When you involve and you be part of Los Cabos, you saw that, for example, we have the Consejo Coordinador. Okay.
What is that?
The Consejo Coordinador is a social ente, okay, that is a group of entrepreneurs that be together, but they are pretty serious about it, you know. For example, the Consejo Coordinador coordinate the invest of the Marina for create the new cuarteles, the new offices of the Marina, you know, for the army. Because this is a pretty important part of the community that has a very strong power.
These are all private individuals, and is it like an advisory type?
Yeah, there are developers of hotel. They are the hotels, the association of the hotels, part of the government like us. They have 25 years doing that, you know. So when you saw that the things happen in Cabo is not for an casual, no. It's pretty good planning. And the new governments like this has more people like me. I mean, we are not perfect, but we know a specific topic and we try to be professionals in one topic. So the same with the water, the same with that. So what your readers need to know is that Cabo is growing, and the most of the professionals, the investors, the entrepreneurs, and the governments know it.
Right.
We know it, So we will try to grow in the good way.
Hey, thanks for being a part of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast to get the latest updates. And if you're watching this on our social channels, please like and share. And if you want to be featured, or you want me to talk on a certain topic, food, activities, culture, real estate in the Baja, drop a comment. You wanted to talk about some topics, possibly.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, I think that
iPad. And by the way, your English. Ricardo was nervous about speaking in English. Your English is awesome.
Thank you.
The next one's in Spanish.
Yeah,
I promise.
What I talked with Nick is that for sure one podcast is not enough for the topics, Right. But I think that this is a good introduction for you.
A good introduction to our viewers, our listeners, so that they know who you are. They know land and building. Mm-hmm. By the way, here locally, where can they get a copy of the magazine?
They can send us an email. I will put you the emails and the information. Okay. For sure, in your offices, you will have a bunch of the different editions of the magazine. And inclusive, if they send us an email, we can send to your notaria, to your real estate office. Okay. But if you permit to me, I want to have some questions to you, because for us it's pretty important to know how the real estate market, the foreign real estate market, thinking about our municipio.
What's interesting is Ricardo is a strong representation of the Mexican market, of entrepreneurs, consumers, business owners, and I'm the opposite side. The same group, but on the English-speaking Americans and Canadians. So I'm more than happy.
Yeah. So more than that is that we started in the building market, in the building custom market, custom homes, hotels, and this stuff. But I want to destroy the barrier of the language, because there are between English and the Spanish, but we live in the same city. Yeah. So I have some topics that I want to ask you, because I have that answer and I share it with my people. Yeah. So I see and I saw that you move a lot of properties, a lot of properties. Mm-hmm. And you're a pretty fast guy in terms of the real estate. How you see the market of the Los Cabos right now? How you see? Is growing? Is it slowing? What do you think about it?
All right. Right now, the real estate market has been in an acceleration mode the last 3 years. And I've been here for, as I was mentioning, almost 20 years. Okay. And almost all that time was selling real estate. Mm-hmm. The last 3 years is the largest growth that I've seen in the real estate market in Los Cabos. And in 2023, towards the end of 2022 and now in 2023, almost halfway through, the real estate market has slowed down in terms of the number of transactions by about 30%. And what any opportunity in the last 3 years would bring is for developers, both experienced and inexperienced, to enter into the Los Cabos marketplace. And the developers that were in the market just doing more developments. Mm-hmm. And actually the meeting I had earlier this morning prior to this podcast, I was talking with the developer about how the offerings of real estate right now is, at least in our MLS, 66% of the condo market is new or pre-construction.
Wow.
And it's actually a higher number because in our MLS system, it doesn't have all of the pre-construction units. So for example, if I have a condo project of 100 units, I'm only going to put maybe 10 into the MLS. I'm not going to put all 100. So in actuality, there's 10 to 20 times more offerings than what is reflected in our MLS system. And the MLS system, for you probably know, is Los Cabos is one of the only markets in all of Mexico that has this database of real estate properties that licensed real estate professionals can access and share with their clients. Okay. So it's a great way that both buyers and sellers can share information on properties. And it's very efficient. It does allow for properties to sell faster, have more exposure. So to answer your question, that was a very long-winded answer. What I see the real estate market in the next, say, 3 years, I think
this is important,
is that we're going to have sales. We're going to have a continued demand for real estate. But what I've been seeing the last year is there's more inventory coming to the market than the demand is actually able to absorb.
Maybe this will be start to decelerate,
It already has. And so it's interesting because then how does a developer make business? How do they continue? Well, it's like any business, any industry. Quality, differentiating yourself from your competition, right? Doing what you're saying you're going to do, delivering on time, delivering within budget. Those are going to be very important things and for developers, because the last 2 to 3 years, developers have been selling no matter what their experience was and how good the quality of the product and service was.
Let me ask you something, because how is the perception of the American, the foreigners, the people that come from another countries and buy our producto? Because my passion is the construction process,
Yeah.
The construction process is about how we do. So I saw that the most of our quality is good here. In comparison with Cancun, in comparison with Mexico City, our quality is good. Yeah. You can see a lot of developers that the quality is wow, really wow, But all of this pre-construction market that for me, I want to ask you something later, but for me, the product under $200,000, under that, the quality is terrible.
Yeah.
I saw, because I know, I mean, the process is bad. The quality of the construction is bad. What do you think? What is your perception about the quality of the construction? I'm not talking about the market over $1 million. No. Under that, What is your perception?
Well, not just perception, but the reality is exactly what you have observed. You coming from a construction background, civil engineer, when, let's go say 10 years ago, the economy was such that you could put a quality product in the $200,000 to $300,000 price range. And a lot of those houses and condos are with very happy owners. But now, with the rise in construction costs, the rise of inflation, and most of our all of our second home real estate is priced in US dollars. And the Mexican peso has gained so much currency strength against the US dollar that our developers are being squeezed in terms of the profit. So it's becoming a real issue in terms of the quality. And I think that this is one of the things that concerns me, selling real estate. And with our sales team and with our clients is know who you're buying from.
Exactly.
Let's see what kind of product you have done in the past. What's your experience? Let me talk to some of your past clients. Simple, obvious type things that any consumer, no matter what you're buying, if it's a car, if it's buying an oven, a refrigerator, buying a house, buying a condo, that's the kind of things that we need to be doing in this market.
Okay, the another question that I want to be together with this question that I make is we have different markets in Cabo. Okay, I saw that not the most of the developers invest, for example, in social home for workers.
That's right.
Not too much investors invest, for example, in logistic terms. Okay, or on retail.
Yeah.
So all are focusing, because I understand pretty well that the most return of the invest is in home.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is the easy way of the construction, the homes. But what is the specific your perception? What do you think that is the most stronger market right now in Cabo? What we need? Because if you ask to me, I think that we need to invest more in logistics or in offices or in this kind of topics. What is your perception? In the market that you handle, what is the strongest market?
Well, it's interesting you bring up the commercial side because with my developers, if they can integrate commercial mixed use product inside of a residential community, because we primarily deal in residential, because that's what a second home market wants. They want a second home. They don't want a storefront. They don't want an office. They don't want a commercial center. But with the growth of the second home market and the permanent resident visa holder, Americans, Canadians, Europeans from all around the world, people that are living here full time now, has grown a lot. When I first started, everyone was buying something for the winter. Now people want things all year round. And that's a huge demand on the type of commercial services that you need. Storefronts, offices, plazas. And I think that's something that a lot of people, if you're a developer, I would be paying attention to a lot. Logistics, like storage, warehouses, huge. Especially if you go on Highway 19 going to Todos Santos, that has really carved itself out real nicely as like the industrial kind of corridor, especially because from the airport, you can come off the toll road and not have to pass through Cabo San Lucas, right?
Yeah, I smile because I will give something for your readers, for your followers.
Yeah.
Because the numbers of the logistic is not the storage. I mean, for the most of the people think that the logistics needs to be with the storages. No. Remember that our economy in La Paz, Baja California Sur, because more than La Paz, more than Loreto and Oper, the economy can come to Tijuana. Okay? Our economy, no. 100% of our economy support of the another side of the ocean. So we need to pass in a ferry.
Yeah.
So what happened with the economy of Cabo? This is pretty important. Why? Because maybe if you're an investor, think about it and leave on the side the homes if you're investing. So all the trucks arrive daily. Okay. And they need to have, I don't know how do you say in English, but the transfer.
In Spanish, how would you say it?
Centros de transferencia.
Like centers of transfer centers, or like where the shipments come in and then they go out, right?
Exactly. We don't have it. So remember that the 100% of our merchandise come from the boat, from the ferry.
Yeah.
So we have a huge problem because most of the companies, medium and small companies, don't have these transfer centers because we need refrigerate.
Yeah.
Okay. We need biggest from wood, furnishing, materials of construction, and this kind of topics, So this is a pretty nice opportunity to invest because nobody is thinking in that. So the most of the delay that we have in the construction market, because I have delays of construction for materials more than a month. Why? Because we need to wait. Okay. So we need this logistic infrastructure invest.
Wow. So if I'm a developer or a landowner, I would be thinking, how could I have these like fulfillment centers, right? Where the supplies can go in.
Exactly.
And so when the demand needs, it can go out.
Exactly.
And as opposed to running like a just-in-time inventory where maybe it's only 30 days of inventory, right?
Exactly.
And remember at the end of last year, there was this propane gas shortage because, was it Baja Ferries or something? One of the boats or ferries was down, so gas was not being delivered in Los Cabos, right?
This is not a just-in-time, because just-in-time is not perfect, it's just in time. No, this is a delay. Yeah. I mean, we need to be focused in how we prepare in that. Because, for example, if we have a beautiful restaurant services, golf courses, hotels, and whatever, if we don't have this background of logistics, we can continue growing. So we need that the investors, the developers, think in these new ways and opportunities because nobody is investing in this. Yeah. So the square meter of construction of logistic is ultra cheap in comparison with homes.
Yeah, because homes, it has to be finished, it has to be comfortable,
Exactly.
It has to be, although those centers, they have to be temperature controlled and everything, but you don't need marble floors.
Exactly.
You don't need
Exactly.
granite countertops, and it's commercial.
It's commercial. So just think about it for your customers, because this is a pretty important part. And another one is the retail. If you saw, we have very, very few investment in retail in Cabo. So I think that we need to focus in this, but this is pretty important to your thought about it, you know?
What else do we got, Ricardo? What else you want to talk about?
No. I want to save the time for you,
Yes.
you know, because
we're going to do another
for sure,
channel, right?
For sure. But
let's hit one more topic.
Yeah. One topic pretty important is how you saw the economic cycle in Cabo for several reasons. If you follow the macroeconomic cycle in Mexico, it's around 7-8 years, okay? But the pandemic put in front the cycle economic, you know, because the pandemic short the cycle economic.
Yep.
So if you saw right now the dollar, the peso is strong, the opportunities you told me right now, 3 more years, we will saw how it's growing. But how you see this economic cycle for the foreigner investors? How they feel it with the cycle economic in Mexico?
The consumer that's American coming to Los Cabos, it's really important to know that they're not the normal American mindset. They tend to be more adventurous. They tend to be more disenchanted with the U.S. government and willing to go outside of the U.S. borders, right?
Okay.
So that's important to note, because what I'm going to say is that those clients, that audience, which is our customer base, is very bullish on Los Cabos. A lot of our customers, our clients, are selling everything they have and coming down here. Wow. And not just buying one thing, but many things, and really ingraining themselves in the culture. They love the people, the warm hospitality, the food, the weather, the activities, everything that Los Cabos has to offer. I think that's going to continue in terms of a macro economy. So all the things that you talked about from a commercial standpoint, logistics, there's going to be a continued demand for that. Real estate's going to be continually in demand. More and more people, I think, are going to be renting as opposed to buying. So I think a lot of, in terms of the real estate sector, on the residential side, people are more investors or investment groups are going to be building real estate just to rent to the long-term renter.
Okay, this is very important.
I think that's really interesting, especially because of the tax situation. You know, people are paying more and more taxes.
Yeah.
And when you, as a developer, aren't selling, but you're building and renting it, you don't have that big capital gains tax or the ISR tax.
Yeah.
In Spanish, the ESR.
Impuestos, del ISR.
And so I think that's going to be another trend that we're going to see. But I tell this to my team, to my clients, to anyone that's willing to listen. You just have to follow any big real estate or economic metropolitan area. And for me, being American, it's Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Dallas, San Francisco, Las Vegas. What have you seen in the last 20 to 30 years there? Where are we in regards to the cycle in those respective areas? And we can expect very similar kind of behavior, because history tends to repeat itself. Economic cycles tend to follow the same ebb and flow, the ups and downs. And that's what I've modeled my real estate business after, is what's happening in the States and where are we in Los Cabos, and how can I kind of have a fortune, like a crystal ball telling me what I should be doing.
Okay, just for closing, I think that that Cabo is on a pretty particular economic situation, because inclusive, you remember when we started in the pandemic, the most of the world focused the view in Cabo and in other parts of the world. But I think, Nick, that we have too much to talk about it, right?
We have a lot to talk about, and I appreciate you coming for a brief few minutes, and I look forward to the next time we can sit down, either at my podcast or your podcast, and I look to collaborate with your magazine. So, and everyone, if you want to get a hold of Ricardo Reyes and his team, look up Land and Building. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Nick. My pleasure.
Okay, until the next one. Bye for now.
See you later, guys. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ronival Real Estate and follow Nick on Instagram at NickFong_Ronival. Ready to find your Baja dream home? Check out the latest property listings at Ronival.com or findmexicohouses.com. Hasta luego.